time for another episode of the Tan and J-Man Show. He's got a fat head of himself up. I saw that on social media over the weekend, and I might just have to get one of myself because that's some cool stuff. That is a cool thing there, T-Dog. Not like your head could get any bigger. But how you doing tonight, Tana, man?
Doing good. Felt like I was a part of a weekend, even though I wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy.
It is kind of creepy. It looks just like you.
Yeah. Thank goodness I don't have a twin out there, huh? Whew.
Yeah.
The world can only handle one Tanner Lee. We don't need another one.
Yeah, definitely don't need another one.
But doing good, Jay, man. Doing good. Wish this smoke from Canada would stay out of the air.
Yeah, ours was bad over the weekend, and it's kind of dissipated now.
Yeah,
so
it was bad today down.
Yeah,
it's just annoying, though. Why do we have to worry about this every week?
The Canadians, man, I tell you.
Yeah, what you gonna do, huh? What you gonna do,
Eat some poutine.
I've never had poutine, have you?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Is it good?
Yeah,
looks good. What'd you get? Like, is there a different kind? Like, what kind did you
the
get?
Only
Did you
kind
get
I've
like
had
original?
The traditional. It's like French fries. I think there's mashed potatoes in there, gravy, and cheese curds. Yeah.
I like fries. I like mashed potatoes.
I
like gravy and I like curds. So
4 of my favorite foods.
Pretty much the food groups right there. Yeah. Oh man, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. But I got some birdie or bogey for you tonight. We are still tied. I was able to sneak away with a par last week, and you got a chance to either go ahead, fall behind, or stay right on pace. Because my question for you, it's NFL related, is who are the only 2 current NFL quarterbacks who are in the top 10 of career passing touchdowns in college football history?
College football history? That's a really good question that I'm definitely going to get wrong.
All you got to do is get one of the 2 right for par. Get them both. Get them both right. You get birdie. You miss them both. You get a bogey.
Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House. Arlington Public House has upscale cuisine and cocktails with a casual atmosphere located 703 Main Street in Rochester. It is Wing Day. Monday. $2 smoked whole wings and $1 off domestic beers every Monday. On Tuesdays, they've done Taco Tuesdays here recently, where they've had $3 birria tacos, which are some of my favorites.
Taco Tuesday.
Tell you so. And over the weekend, they had shrimp stuffed filet, our fresh cut 8-ounce filet mignon. Or as my dad said, filet mignon on his first date with my mother.
Hey, worked out perfectly fine for him.
Stuffed with a blend of shrimp, bacon, jalapenos, herbs, and spices, nestled on a bed of smoky Bernays,
I believe.
And paired with mash and green beans. So it just gives you a glimpse of their delicious food they got there at Arlington.
Yeah, I was talking to the owner, Bryce Romine, on Friday when I went to the sister restaurant of the Arlington Public House, Dreddy's Place, for lunch when I was down in Rochester, Indiana on Friday. And he was telling me about that special coming up on Saturday, and it sounded good, but then I saw the picture of it. Man, I'm going to have to get that next time they have it.
Yeah. Again, I got to make my way down there. I've not been there since it's changed owners.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah. So, get your veggies too. You always got to get your veggies.
Well, they do always have veggies with their meals, like you said, fresh garden veggies. So,
yeah. What do you want to start with tonight there, Tana, man?
Well, why don't we start with some MLB? Some MLB talk. We're in the second half now. It's begun. And I know our viewers and listeners are going to hear me say this and say, sure, or whatever. I almost predicted the MVP last week, and then I'm like, nah, it was going to be a joke. I was going to throw out Diaz winning MVP as a joke because he's the only Rocky in the All-Star game, never thinking that he was going to win MVP. Then he wins MVP. It's one of those, dang it, I should have done that.
This is how much I watched All-Star Weekend. I'm like, what are you talking about, MVP? All-Star game.
Yeah.
Elias Diaz, former Pittsburgh Pirate. That's where I remember him. It's the 2-run homer in the 8th, which it's kind of funny because people were talking like, man, do we really need a guy from each team to be in the All-Star game? Is that really necessary? And they were kind of pointing to Diaz being the guy. Like, do we really need a guy from every team? Because he's not very good, all that. And then of course he hits the game-winning homer. So it's kind of crazy that's how that played out. And it seems like that sort of stuff happens all the time when people are complaining about something, and then the exact thing they're complaining about ends up having weird implications. But yeah, you look at his numbers. He's been a below average hitter. He's solid defensively behind the plate, but somebody's got to make it from each team, which I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of change that going forward, because some good players were left off the list in favor of guys like Elias Diaz, but again, hit a 2-run homer to win the game.
Yeah, he was the first Rockies catcher to make the All-Star game. Can you name me? He was the 6th catcher in MLB history to be All-Star MVP. Can you name the other ones?
No, Buster Posey. I'm trying to think of good catchers here.
Not Buster Posey.
Any happen in our lifetime?
Yes. Yes, a couple of them.
Mike Piazza.
Mike Piazza, 96 with the Dodgers.
AJ Pierzynski?
Nope. Good guess, though.
That's a terrible guess. What are you talking about? Who? I don't got it.
We had, let's go back in 1981, Gary Carter, and he won it again in 84. We also, I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody here. We had Terry Steinbach in 1988 of the A's. Yeah. Piazza, like I said, in 96. Sandy Alomar Jr. of the Indians in 97.
Wouldn't even been on my radar.
Then we had, got to go down a ways here, Brian McCann of the Braves in 2010.
Okay.
And
I vaguely remember that one.
Elias Diaz this year. Yeah. I feel like I'm forgetting one. I feel like I had another one on here. Steinbach. No, that's it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think anyone saw that coming. Far, and he's honestly probably fortunate to even get in the game. It is kind of crazy, and I'm so glad they're not doing it anymore, where winner gets home field advantage, because that was so stupid. Because your best players that are in there play the first couple innings, and then your players get worse as the game goes along when they get in. And now I'm glad that old Manfred changed that where the winner of the All-Star game gets home field advantage in the playoffs. But as far as the home run derby went, I did not watch a single second. We
watched the very end of it.
We kind of talked about it last week, how it's not really appointment viewing anymore like it used to be. I planned on watching it, and then my wife had a movie on, and you know how sometimes you just sit down and you're watching something, you just kind of get sucked in a little bit.
You get invested, yep.
And that's kind of what happened. So I didn't watch any of
What movie?
It was an old movie with Melissa McCarthy. I think The Heat with.
I've seen that. Yeah, I like that movie.
It's pretty funny. I'd never seen it before.
Yeah, it's funny.
It kind of sucked me in. But my book it last week was Randy Arozarena winning the home run derby. I believe that was my book it. And he ended up finishing runner-up, losing to Vladdy Jr. So like father, like son there. Vladdy Jr., Vladdy Sr. both winning a home run derby. So that was a pretty cool moment. But as far as the baseball goes, so obviously we've only had one series here since the All-Star break ended. And speaking of the Cubs, they need to take advantage of this week's schedule. Now, the Red Sox came into Wrigley in last place, but they were 6 games over 500, 5 games over 500. So they're a pretty good team, and Cubs laid an absolute egg on Friday. They won on Saturday, then laid an absolute egg on Saturday as well.
Well, the reason they won on Saturday was because you and your parents were in attendance.
That's usually a reason why they lose, is because we are in attendance. But we did get to see a pretty good game. Cody Bellinger hitting a grand slam. That was a pretty cool moment. It was the first time we'd seen them win. It was the first time I'd been in person where the Cubs have had a lead since 2019. Of course,
you go to about 1 game a year, 1-2 games a year.
Yeah, 2. usually 2 or 3 games a year. I
Is
don't think I'll get to another one this
I
year.
got a couple questions for you about your experience on Saturday.
Mhm.
Is that the most runs you've ever seen the Cubs score in person?
No.
Okay.
No, I've seen them score. I think they scored 13 one time in Cincinnati. I've seen them score double digits a few times. That was Bellinger's grand slam was the first Cub grand slam I've seen in person. I've seen the Cubs give up multiple grand slams, but I've never seen the Cubs hit one until Saturday.
I saw Scott Rowland for the Phillies hit one there,
Yeah.
one time and regularly. And then I saw the Reds pitcher that we've talked about a few times on the podcast hit one against the Cubs. What was the most popular jersey or jersey in the stands that you saw?
Honestly, I don't even remember.
No.
I saw a I think he plays with the Reds, Steer. His last name's Steer. I saw a Cincinnati Reds Spencer Steer jersey. He's a rookie. This guy was decked out. I hate the guys that go to a ballpark where 2 teams are playing and they're not one of your teams and they're decked out in whatever. So typical Reds fan doing something stupid, and the Reds had a great weekend themselves. But as far as Red Sox jerseys go, I could not name you a single Red Sox jersey, and there's quite a few Red Sox fans, but I don't remember seeing a single one that stuck out.
I didn't know if a lot of them maybe had Ortiz jerseys or.
I guess I didn't really look that hard, to be honest.
Yeah. Because it seems like a lot of people, especially if the team has struggled the last couple of years, you'll see their older jersey of their legends.
Yeah,
being worn around.
The guy sitting in front of us was wearing a Patrick Wisdom jersey. For some reason, he dropped money on a Patrick Wisdom jersey, which makes no sense.
Like what is the best selling Cub jersey? Would you say right now
of the current players?
Yeah,
probably Stroman. I would imagine.
Okay.
Although pitchers don't really have jersey sales. That's Dansby Swanson, I would say, because he was their high-priced free agent guy. Nico Horner's probably another guy that's up there. Maybe Seiya Suzuki, Ian Happ. There were a lot of Rizzo jerseys still walking around.
Sure, Rizzo, Bryant, all that whole group probably.
There'll be quite a few. A guy was wearing a jersey in front of me a Jock Peterson jersey when you're walking in. He was a Cub for 4 months, and the guy was wearing his jersey. I thought that was kind of funny.
I always like going to sporting events and seeing what jerseys like the most popular among people wearing, and then what are the outlandish ones? Like especially when I go out to Denver for Bronco games, I always see some crazy ones like Jerry Rice and Bronco jersey didn't even play a game, things like that.
Yeah, well, we sat second row, upper deck, which were great seats, and so there wasn't really a whole lot of looking around to see jerseys because we were in front of everybody.
Makes sense.
And I didn't really think about it walking around. I should have though, because I knew you were going to ask this question. You always do. But again, I'm trying to think. Was there a Boston Red Sox jersey that really stuck out? I'm sure there were some Big Papi.
Yeah.
I did see probably the most I saw. Now that I think about it, is Dustin Pedroia. I saw 3 or 4 of those.
Makes sense.
But it was the only good game the Cubs played this weekend, and the trade deadline's coming up here in about two weeks from today. I think it's trade deadline, or 2 weeks from tomorrow. I can't remember if it's the 31st or August 1st, but they need to go on an absolute heater in order to prevent them from selling, and that includes it is a must-sweep series here to start this week against the Washington Nationals. You're at home against one of the worst teams in the National League. They have second worst record in the National League. You need to sweep them. There's zero excuse. You win 2 out of 3. It's not good enough, in my opinion. You lose this series, it's done. I mean, they're completely done. They're 8 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. And the crazy thing is, the New York Yankees are 9 games out. They're in last place in the AL East. And everyone's talking about them buying at the trade deadline. Cubs are 8 games out, and everyone's talking about them selling. The difference is, obviously, one team 6 games under 500, one 6 over 500. But the Central Division is bad enough where a team can go on a run. Cubs have not proven that they can be that team that can go on a run, any sort of heater to get back into this thing. And it's depressing, to be honest. To be the 3rd straight sell-off, No GM, president of baseball ops should ever get the opportunity to sell off 3 straight years, and Jed Hoyer is going to get that opportunity. Trading guys like Marcus Stroman just sets you back another year. Cody Bellinger as well. But Bellinger is a free agent, and on the surface, it makes sense. He's 27 years old, having a fantastic year, his best year he's had probably since his MVP season. And he's a guy they need to somehow try to figure a way to keep around. Elite defensively in center field, great at first base. That doesn't happen where you have a great first baseman and a great defensive center fielder all in the same player. They have holes at both. So, again, having a great year offensively, defensively. He has a Scott Boras client, which makes things incredibly difficult because they're going to want a ton of money, and they're not going to sign an extension before the season ends. So, on the surface, that makes sense trading him. Marcus Stroman doesn't, because that just creates another need going into the offseason where you need a top-of-the-rotation sort of pitcher like Marcus Stroman's been, and it just sets you back. And if they want any sort of chance to compete next year, you have to not sell. There are pieces you can trade away, like in the bullpen, that are kind of veteran guys that they're replaceable, easily replaceable, like a Mark Leiter Jr., Julian Merriweather, the guy who was the closer at the beginning of the year. Why can't I remember his name? He just pitched. He's terrible, but he's a guy that could be traded as well. Maybe even a Kyle Hendricks. It'd suck to trade another one of the only player left from the 2016 team, but he is a guy that's had a pretty good year so far and could be valuable as a back end of the rotation sort of guy. So those guys make sense, but a Marcus Stroman makes very little sense. The Cubs need to, at the very least, in my opinion, soft buy. What that means is try to acquire major league caliber talent with multiple years of control, of team control, and they have the prospect depth to do it. And now's the time. Even if it's not about winning this year, they have to compete next year. Jed Hoyer is operating like his job is completely safe, and he shouldn't be operating this way. This dude's taken no chances whatever in his entire tenure since Theo Epstein stepped away. And it's shown. They haven't been willing to go out and spend high dollar, and then they finally do with Dansby Swanson, and that's great. But where's it got them so far? There are other acquisitions. Michael Fulmer's the guy I couldn't remember, but Michael Fulmer closed the beginning of the year, terrible. Trey Mancini, horrendous. Eric Hosmer, horrendous. Jameson Tyone, horrendous. All these guys, besides Dansby Swanson that they've picked up, have been for the most part pretty bad. Obviously not counting Cody Bellinger. He's been good, but it's time to start at least showing that they're willing to go out and do what it takes to win, because they just haven't done it. And it just feels like the organization's got complacent. Tom Ricketts finally opens the checkbook, which is great, but they had opportunity, and I've talked about this ad nauseum since 2017 or 2018. They've had opportunity to extend that window, and the pocketbook just completely zipped up, and they didn't do it. And now they're feeling the after effects of that. They have the new sports book there, the DraftKings sportsbook, that supposedly is going to give them all the money in the world. Well, where's that? When's that going to happen? It's an incredibly frustrating situation. I grew accustomed to the Cubs competing every year over a 5-6 year stretch, and now all of a sudden it just feels like there's no hope and no direction either. Where at the beginning, early stages in 2012, when Theo took over, you could see a vision and see a plan, and right now they're just throwing stuff at a wall and hoping it sticks. And there's no plan, no direction. And it's getting to the point where, unless they go on some sort of hot streak here the next 2 weeks and stay in it and keep this team together, they need to clean house. But I just don't think Tom Ricketts has the gumption to do it.
You've used the term over the years on Twitter, hashtag clean house, too often as a sports fan, I feel like.
I don't think I've ever done it for the Cubs, though.
I don't think you have. Dolphins, Illini.
Dolphins, definitely. Illinois football, definitely back in the day. But it's getting to the point where it's sickening, because this should not be happening. You're in the third largest market in the U.S. There's zero excuse for this to be a 3-year thing. And they even told us it wasn't a rebuild. It's clearly a rebuild.
Kiss of death words when somebody says that.
If you're still doing this, but
yeah,
as I said, they're 8 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. And they're 8 games out of a wild card spot too. So your best bet is trying to get hot and get to the Milwaukee Brewers, who've played some good baseball. They've kind of cemented themselves, maybe not cemented themselves, but kind of sent a statement out to the NL Central here. I think they took 5 of 6 from the Reds the past 2 series. That we're still the team. We're still probably the team to beat here, but yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Reds a little bit. Contender or pretender right now?
Yeah, this is a good segue into contender or pretender. The Reds absolutely, in my opinion, are a contender right now. They are second place in the NL.
It's weird to hear you say nice things about the Reds.
I'm stating facts, so it has nothing to do with me being nice because I hate being nice to the Cincinnati, especially the Cincinnati Reds. According to Baseball Reference, their postseason odds are 31%, which obviously is not above 50. I can do math, but sometimes. They add some pitching and they'll be right in it. They're calling up their top prospects. They have another one coming up here this tonight actually, and I'll actually bring him up real quick because I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but sounds like he's like a DH first base type.
Oh,
so
I'm sure we'll know his name soon.
Yeah, he'll split some time with Joey Votto. I think he's a first base type. Christian Encarnacion Strand, he plays first, third base. He'll probably DH, I imagine, because their infield's kind of loaded right now, believe it or not. He's hitting 331 down AAA Louisville, 405 on base, 637 slugging, ton of homers, making his major league debut this week. So they have another guy coming up. Matt McClain's been fantastic, rookie shortstop. Ellie De La Cruz has been so good so far since he's come up. He set a major league record for fastest assist on the infield yesterday from third base when he threw a 97.8 mile per hour ball over to first base to get a guy. So they are a burgeoning. I don't know why I'm trying to use fancy words on this Monday. They are budding. That's the word, man. Budding team. They're budding. Stop talking. They need some pitching. Their ERA is 4.8, which is 13th in the National League. They've been better here of late, but Hunter Green's still on the injured list. Nick Lodolo's still on the injured list. So I think they're going to go pretty hard after some pitching at the deadline, and they can stay right in it. So yeah, I would say they are a contender as of now.
Thad Mooney on Facebook says there's someone in your group chat that likes Josh's statement about the Reds right now.
Yeah.
And he also said blossoming ?
Blossom. I think that's the word
blossoming.
I think that was the word I was looking for. So thanks, Thad. The Miami Marlins, are they a pretender or a contender?
Oh man. I'm going to say contender. Why not?
They are 11 games over 500. They've kind of hit a rough patch this month of June, but they pitch really well.
We're in July, dude.
They've hit a rough patch in the month of July.
Josh is having a rough patch on this Monday night.
Yeah, they need some offensive help. Jazz Chisholm is out for a while. He's one of their better offensive players. Jorge Soler's been fantastic. Louis Arise, of course, has been.
He's been pretty good everywhere he's been.
400. Soler,
yeah.
He was the guy that I thought had the when he came up with the Cubs that I thought had the highest probability of being really good, and it didn't pan out with the Cubs. But he's been good with the Royals. He's been good with the Marlins so far. I'm going to agree with you. I think they are a contender just due to their pitching. Their GM Ken, I honestly don't know. It's NG. Her last name is NG. Only female general manager in baseball anyway. I don't know if she's the only female general manager in sports. Is there an NBA GM who's the female? Anyway,
good question.
turned the franchise around. She's done an unbelievable job. So I'm excited to see what she has up her sleeve here in the next few weeks as far as adding some offense. Philadelphia Phillies, right behind the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, I think you got to call them a contender. They got too much talent.
Yeah. Again, they'll be very active here at the trade deadline. They need Bryce Harper to start hitting for homers again. He had the longest homerless drought of his career. And they also need him to get healthy enough where he doesn't have to DH so he can switch into the outfield, because Kyle Schwarber has been one of the worst rated defensive outfielders in the history of the sport so far this year. But speaking of Schwarber, he's hitting 89, but he still had 25 homers, so he's still kind of valuable. But yeah, I agree. I think they need some starting rotation help because their rotation's kind of been bad, and every team needs some bullpen.
It looks like they're the only team in men's professional Northern America sports to have a GM as a female. Their president of business operations is a female.
No kid.
Mm-hmm. Caroline
Maybe
O'Connor.
that's why they're having success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see here. The San Francisco Giants.
I'm gonna say pretender. Why not? I can't say contender for all these teams. I gotta throw a pretender at somebody.
Giants are a game and a half behind the LA Dodgers, 78% chance to make the postseason, according to Baseball Reference. Per usual, they've struggled offensively, but their pitching's been really good. Third in Major League Baseball in ERA, or in the National League in ERA. Logan Webb's been fantastic. And Alex Cobb's been fantastic. They have arguably the best bullpen in the National League too. So they add some starters and add a bat. I haven't heard their name mentioned much among trade talk so far, but again, we got 2 weeks. I am going to go with contender actually for the San Francisco Giants. Arizona Diamondbacks.
Oh, man. Let's see. I'm looking it up here. 52-42. I'm going to go pretender.
I agree with you. I think they might be a year away from being the team to watch there in the NL West. Corbin Carroll's probably got the Rookie of the Year on lock so far in the National League. It's been fantastic at 22 years old. And their offense as a whole has been pretty good, but their pitching, 11th in the National League in ERA, 4.41. They do have one of the Cy Young favorites, probably in that top 3 to 5 so far, Zach Gallen, who's been good. But other than that, their pitching's been, for the most part, pretty bad, including former Cub Zach Davies with an ERA over 6. So they go out and get some pitching help at the deadline. We can easily switch them into contender mode. But as of right now, I'm going to say pretender. Not even going to throw the Padres or the Mets on there because they've been so disappointing. Seattle Mariners sitting here at 500. Contender or pretender?
Oh, that's a good one. That was your World Series runner-up pick. Start the year. Let's see. I'm going pretender again. 3 in a row.
I 100% agree with you. Their GM or president of baseball ops, Jared DePoto, is a guy that will wheel and deal like crazy to try to get the team to where they need to be, like they did last year with trading for Luis Castillo. So I bet he has something crazy up his sleeve. Maybe a Shohei Ohtani trade in division, which would be crazy. But Julio Rodriguez is kind of taking a step back in the second year. He hasn't been as good. They just haven't gotten much production offensively. It's been kind of a struggle. Ty France hasn't been as good as last year. J.P. Crawford's been solid. Colton Wong's been terrible there. Eugenio Suarez has been below average. Their big-time pickup, Teoscar Hernandez, has just been kind of league average. A.J. Pollock's been bad. So they didn't have a great offseason. They are 9th American League in runs. Their pitching's good, though. So if they can go out and get a bat like a Shohei Ohtani, or really any sort of bat that could turn them around. They are only 8 games out, so they're still in it, but that's a really good division with the Rangers and Astros ahead of them. But as of right now, I'm agreeing with you. I think they are a pretender. I don't even want to put the AL Central on here, so I'm not going to.
Bad weekend for the Guardians.
All 5 teams are bad. Yeah, Cleveland, I think, came into the weekend
leading,
and now they're 2.5 out behind the Minnesota Twins. But again, Twins are 2 games over 500. Guardians 3 games under. I don't see one of those teams has to make the playoffs. That's
our World Series predictions. If you had Padres over Mariners, I had Padres over Twins. Not looking so hot right now.
That's terrible. That was terrible. The American League East, Yankees, pretender or contender?
I don't think they can stay healthy enough.
They need Aaron Judge back. They have been one of the worst offenses in baseball without him.
He's been taking BP out in Colorado, so
yeah, it's a toe thing though, so who knows how long that's going to last.
I mean, Garrett Cole has already tied Louisiana Lightning for the most 10 strikeout games in Yankee history.
Man, yeah, I mean, he's probably the odds-on favorite to win, or one of the favorites to win the AL Cy Young.
But they don't win games, even with him on the mound, because I mean, yesterday they had two different times they had 2-run leads. I think one is in the 8th and one's in extra innings, and they blew both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw a report yesterday. The Yankees are looking for catching help, offense help, starting rotation, and some back end relief. So they're looking for everything.
Yeah.
But they are if Judge comes back, I could see him turning it around. But that division's too good that I think I'm going to go with pretender for now.
Yeah, I just don't think they can stay healthy enough, and I don't know. I know I've talked about him a lot lately, but Aaron Boone's time, I just think it's coming. I think his time's come to an end soon.
Yeah. The Boston Red Sox.
Pretender.
Yeah, I agree. The pitching's not good. They have really good offense though. They're 3rd in the AL in runs scored. Rafael Devers has been great. Masataka Yoshida has been fantastic coming over from Japan, hitting .317. Justin Turner has been a great pickup. He's the guy I wish the Cubs would have signed to play third base, but of course, as I said, Jed doesn't like to take any sort of chances. But yeah, I will go on record, and I think every team in the AL East finishes over 500, which would
be incredible. Has that ever been done?
I can't imagine a scenario, or I can't even think of any time that's ever happened. Toronto Blue Jays.
See, I think even though all these teams are fairly good, I still think at the end of the day, 3 at the most get in, and maybe only 2. Man, I want to say pretender again. I feel like all of a sudden that's all I'm saying for all these teams, but
I am going with contender here. I think they are the better of the teams between the Red Sox, Yankees, and them. They have I think they'll go hard after pitching. The deadline, I know I've heard them mentioned a bunch for Marcus Stroman, which that's where Stroman used to pitch.
Yeah.
So he's a guy that could go back over there and fit in very easily. They just have a lot of talent. I mean, Vladdy Jr.'s kind of had a bad year by his standards. Bo Bichette's been good. Matt Chapman's been good. Kevin Kiermaier's been having probably his best offensive year of his career. George Springer's been good. It feels like there's another level to them, and they're just kind of hanging around. 6.5 games out behind 6 games out behind the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they'll stay in it right now, and they do have like a 3-game lead on a playoff spot, which of course is so early. And then I think we can both agree that Baltimore Orioles are for real.
Yep.
22 games over 500. Adley Rutschman's turned into an absolute superstar. Gunnar Henderson's turning into a star as well. That entire team is young, fun to watch. They are the I would say the American League version of the Cincinnati Reds, except a little better. Quite a
young
bit.
and exciting.
Yep. On the come up, I should say. But as far as trade deadline goes, it's in 2 weeks, and we'll have a preview for that. But I think it's starting to trend towards Shohei Ohtani being dealt. So it'll be real interesting to see where he ends up. I don't think he'll end up in LA. Dodgers could see the Yankees. I don't know if they have enough to get it done. Probably not many teams have enough to get it done, except maybe the Tampa Bay Rays, and that has been a team which that would be interesting.
Crazy. And then would he only be a rental for them and then go elsewhere in the offseason?
There's no way they'd be able to afford.
Yeah, he costs more than the franchise, so
they would be going out to win a World Series, and that's what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Put all the chips in the middle.
Yep. Oakland A's already have 70 losses. They're 25-70. That's embarrassing. They're just waiting for that season to end. So same with Kansas City Royals. They're 40 games under 500. That's pathetic. But I think that is all I got as far as baseball goes. We covered a lot.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Well, you want to get educated real quick?
Let's do her.
Let's see what has happened in the sports world on this day on July 17th. Looking like it's pretty Wimbledon heavy so far. Pretty Wimbledon.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta read this one closely because I don't really understand it at first. On this day in 1902, the Orioles forfeited to St. Louis, having only 5 players available to play. They then forfeit their franchise back to the American League. What?
Oh, that's a rough day. Maybe they just got to go work the steel mill tonight. I can't get off. Yeah.
Oh man. On this day in 1925, a guy named Tris Speaker is the 5th to get 3,000 hits.
Yeah, old Tris, one of the best to ever do
her. Let's see. On this day in 1939, who won the PGA Championship?
Sam Snead.
Good guess, but it's a guy named Henry Picard. Won his second major title, defeating Byron Nelson. With a birdie at the 37th hole. What the heck? 37th hole? Oh, I must win a extra playoff or something. And I don't know. On this day, 1941, New York Yankee Joe DiMaggio's 56th game hitting streak ended in Cleveland.
Did I share this stat the other week about Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak? I got to go back in my Twitter and find it.
I don't think you did.
Joe DiMaggio, during his 56-game hitting streak, hit 408, 463 on base percentage, and a 717 slugging. That's absurd. Ted Williams, during Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak, hit 412 with a 540 on base and a 648 slugging percentage. He was a better hitter during Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak than Joe DiMaggio was.
Those guys are pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I watched a Seinfeld episode today where old Kramer punched Mickey Mantle.
Oh, man. That's a classic.
Yeah.
On this day, 1974, Bob Gibson became the second pitcher to strike out 3,000 hitters.
He's a pretty good one, too. He's the reason why they had to lower the mound, because he kept putting up ERAs in the ones.
On this day, 1979, the All-Star game was held at the Keene Dome in Seattle, which Seattle just had the All-Star game. NL won 7-6. Who was the MVP?
National League in 79. Give me Michael Jack Schmidt.
Dave Parker of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Oh, man. On this day in 1983, who won the British Open?
83. Give me Jack.
Good guess. Tom Watson won his 5th Open Championship.
Man.
Yeah, he was pretty good at that. On this day, 1990, New York Yankee Deion Sanders hit an inside-the-park home run. Who won the British Open on this day, 1994?
94. I have no idea.
Nick Price won his second of 3 major titles, his only British Open title. He won by 1 stroke over Jesper Parnevik. On this day in 2005, who won the British Open?
Give me Tiger.
It was Tiger Woods, won his 10th major title at the time, led wire to wire, won by 5 shots over Colin Montgomery. On this day, 2011, who won the British Open?
2011. Is that Adam Scott?
Good guess. He was around that time. Darren Clark claimed his only major title, winning by 3 strokes over Dustin Johnson and Phil Mickelson. A few more here. On this day, 2016, who won the British Open?
I don't know.
Hendrick Stinson. Jeez, I can't even read. Hendrick. I sound like Lloyd Christmas. Hendrick Stinson. Shot a final round 63 for a record 20 under par, 1 by 3 over Phil Mickelson. On this day in 2018, the MLB All-Star Game was held in Washington, D.C. Oh, and then it didn't give me the MVP. Never mind. Scratch that one. I thought it would.
I remember Wilson Contreras had a homer in that one.
Yeah, the teams combined for a record 10 home runs, accounting for 13 of the 14 total runs. Last year on this day, who won the British Open?
Oh, it was the guy who's a live guy now, right?
Yep.
Long hair.
Yep.
Shoot. I know exactly who it is, but I can't think of his name.
Cameron Smith.
Cameron Smith.
He won by 1 stroke over Cameron Young, and then Roy McIlroy was another stroke behind for third. So, and that's going to do it for this On This Day segment, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of North Carolina with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. You can see some of their recently completed projects by visiting them at Mooney Woodcrafts on Instagram and Facebook. And if you let them know that Tana and J-Man Show sent you, you get 15% off your first sign order. Get your signs in. Well, speaking of golf, the fourth and last major championship for the year is this week. The 2023 British Open, or the Open Championship as they like to call it now, but I'm always going to refer to it as the British Open. It's being played at Royal Liverpool. I cannot talk tonight. Words are hard. The last time it was at Royal Liverpool was in 2014. A guy named Rory McIlroy won, and Ricky Fowler and Sergio Garcia tied for second.
Rory's coming off a win, too.
He won the Scottish Open yesterday. Pretty impressive. Do we have a bucket on the horizon?
This will be the J-Man's bucket prediction of the week. Rory McIlroy will absolutely win the Open Championship.
He's the favorite. He is the favorite. Yeah, his odds are plus 525, followed by Scotty Scheffler plus 750, John Rahm and Ricky Fowler at plus 1200, Tommy Fleetwood, Victor Hovland, Cameron Smith plus 1500, Brooks Koepka plus 1800. I kind of like those odds for Brooks. Then you got Xander Schauffele, Terrell Hatton, Colin Morikawa, Shane Lowry, Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, on and on and on. Where's Justin Thomas out here? Because he has not been playing well. Plus 5,500, right there with Wyndham Clark's right ahead of him at plus 5,000. So, never know. Never know. Anybody can win the Open Championship. I mean, Phil Mickelson won it. Nobody thought he'd win it when he won it. It's a major championship an older guy can go and get, because a lot of it's based on what time you play because of the weather.
I was going to say, the weather's usually terrible, right?
It's usually rainy, it's windy, it's cold. Rainy. Yep. It's link style golf, which that's why I really like Ricky's chances. He likes link style. Didn't play the greatest in the Scottish Open, was in it within 2 rounds, had a bad weekend. But I'm why not? I'm going on board. I'm picking Ricky to win it.
Oh boy. The J-Man's Bucket Prediction of the Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watchering for life, home, auto, business, renters, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watchering@infb.com.
My guy David Duvall and John Daly are tied for the worst odds. And they're only in it because they're past Open Championships.
I hope that John Daly movie comes to fruition with
Me too.
With Jonah Hill playing him. That would be fantastic. He's a character. He and his son both.
Jonah Hill, he's kind of been in the headlines for the wrong reasons lately, though. So, yeah.
Most celebrities are.
That's true. But I don't have too much else to talk about the Open. I mean, it should be fun. It's one of those golf tournaments. If you're golfing, you got to get up pretty early to watch it, because the broadcast will start about 4 a.m. on Thursday. And
man, you gonna do it?
Not that early. I might check in occasionally throughout the day, but it's always a fun one. It actually might be my favorite major to watch, just because I don't know. I like that type of golf, and I mean, when you can hit a ball 100 yards short and still make it run up on the green, and it takes a lot of strategy and precision. I like that. So
I like bad weather too.
Yeah, see them
sports are
see them grind it out a little bit, get their money's worth. So Wouldn't shock me if a live guy wins, but like I said, I'm going Ricky Fowler. It's probably more hope than anything, but hey, he's hot lately, so keep it rolling.
Moving on to my word association, it's not golf related. I kind of hinted at this last week when we talked about the Northwestern Pat Fitzgerald scandal, or Pat Fitzpatrick, as I called him last week. But coaches that have been fired or resigned in disgrace, starting with my boy, Timmy Beckman.
Wife supposed to make some great lasagna.
Lasagna.
Yeah. Interesting guy. Had some good moments at Illinois, but for the most part, was pretty average. Came from Toledo. A lot of times, Big Ten, whether it's football or basketball, the MAC hires just don't work out very well.
Yeah, that is true. When's the last good one?
I'm sure there's one I can't remember, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
The Big Ten, I can't think of one.
Terry Hepter was doing a good job in Indiana when he came from Miami, Ohio, before he passed away.
Outside of the Big Ten, Matt Campbell was kind of the guy that they should have hired, even though he was OC at Toledo under Beckman. He's had success. Lance Leipold at Kansas has had success coming from Buffalo, but other than that, not too much.
I mean, we had Brian Kelly at one time with Central Michigan.
Yeah, and
D'Antonio before him at Michigan State.
But yeah, Timmy Beckman. His scandal kind of looks kind of weak compared to what's the recent events. But I got my wish and he got fired.
Yes, you did. That's kind of started your hashtags.
Yeah, he was a buffoon. That's what I like. He got busted for having chew on the sideline when you weren't allowed to have chew on the sideline. He got so many sideline warnings. He was just he was a terrible face for the.
What was it? You take away three plays.
You take away 3 plays, and we're right in that game. Yeah, well, you lost by 28, buddy.
Those were 3 touchdowns.
That was kind of his. Yeah, he was something. Moving on to another Big Ten guy, Kevin Wilson.
Oh yeah, I mean the guy can call offense. He still can.
He's
been with Ohio State, but yeah, what came out with him just doesn't sound like he was a very nice guy at Indiana. Yeah. And he called a good offense at Oklahoma before then, and he had some good offenses at Indiana. He got them a couple bowl games. I mean, they were rolling there for a little bit, but Indiana just can't consistently keep a good stretch of coach going.
Yeah. Art Briles.
Really good head coach, but an awful human being. Awful. Should never. I don't think he will anyways, but should never be a Division I head coach again. Shouldn't be a head coach again, period. But people keep hiring him on the lower levels for some reason.
He turned Baylor into like a powerhouse, which Baylor football was a joke of a football program. And he obviously really good football program, but the stuff he covered up there, pretty bad. A recent sort of scandal here, Bobby Huggins.
Yeah, Bob. He was a character. Had a drinking problem for a long time. It's fortunate how it's come to an end at West Virginia, but it's time. I think it was time anyways. Good coach Cincinnati, good at West Virginia, got him to the Final Four in 2010. Tough as nails teams, but yeah, anymore, not only does hire legends not go so well for you, but hiring alma mater doesn't always end well for you either.
Yeah, old Bob said he never technically resigned, so he's he's delusional.
What are we gonna have a sing the Hoosiers in the opening game? Is he just gonna come out on the court?
Bobby Knight.
Oh my! I mean, great basketball coach. I mean, I gotta give credit where credit's due. I mean, look at the wins. You obviously know the game. You don't win that many games as a coach if you don't know what you're doing. But can you imagine if social media was around during the Bob Knight and the Gene Kidd era for that, in the Lou Henson era? But
lasted more than 3 months.
No, it was yeah. That documentary about his time in Indiana is pretty crazy out there. Yeah. But didn't do much at Texas Tech. Would give him the tournament, but never really serious contenders. But one of the best basketball coaches ever, but controversy follows that guy everywhere. And unless you're an Indiana fan, you probably don't like him.
Yeah. This one, looking back, was the dumbest scandal, and he probably shouldn't have been fired. It was so stupid, it pales in comparison to what is happening nowadays, and that's Jim Tressel.
Yeah. I'm really surprised he never got another head coaching job.
Yeah, maybe
I know he got in some administration at Youngstown State, but sweater vest, man, that guy could coach. Yeah. I mean, Tressel ball wasn't the most fun style of football, but he got the job done and he was just a winner. His teams were always pretty disciplined, and they went downhill after he left. I mean, Fickle took over in a tough position, but then Urban came in and got him going again, and now Day, who could be on the hot seat depending on what happens this year, which is crazy.
Depending on what happens against Michigan this year.
Yeah, which is crazy, but yeah, Jim Tressel can coach football.
Yeah, that one was so stupid. They sold some gear to get some tattoos.
Yep.
Nowadays with the NIL, it's not even a thing. And the only thing Tressel did wrong was lie about it.
Yep.
If he would have come out and said, "Yeah, they did it," I don't think he'd still be there, but probably wouldn't have been fired.
Urban wouldn't have ever been there though.
Yeah, it could have been an interesting domino. A domino that didn't happen, I should say.
Yep.
Johnny Gruden.
Oh, Chucky himself. Yeah, I actually went to the Bronco Raider game the week he was fired. And then the Raiders just put it on the Broncos. What a terrible effort. We're like, all right, playing Raiders are struggling.
Yeah.
Interim head coach just got whooped. But Gruden, good coach. But I don't see him ever getting a job again.
Was he a good coach, though? He was good back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, huge name.
Yeah, he's a big name.
But, yeah, probably wasn't as good as coach as his name, I guess, name value. But
he had a lot of Jeff Fisher in him. And people don't view Fisher as that great of a coach.
He was a Raider, that was for sure. I mean, fit them perfectly.
Yeah. Joe Paterno.
Man. Yeah, I mean, he died of a broken heart pretty much, but he knew a lot of things that were going on and didn't report it. So he should have been gone a long time. Should have retired a lot before that even came out. Legendary coach. He's one of those coaches kind of like Bobby Bowden who just couldn't let go. Didn't know what they were going to do with the rest of their life. So they hung on so they literally couldn't hang on anymore.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting looking back. Two legends at their program. And obviously, Paterno's a big-time legend, but Joe Paterno's last game was a snow game against Illinois. Pat Fitzgerald's last game was a spit and snow game against Illinois. So I don't play Illinois if you don't.
I was going to say, if you're playing Illinois in the snow, you might be worried about your coach's future.
Yeah. Kelvin Sampson.
Good basketball coach. I mean, look what he's done with Houston.
Very good basketball coach,
yeah, I think it would have been interesting if he didn't do those recruiting violations and a million text messages and when the time period you weren't supposed to when he was at Indiana. He had Indiana going, even that season. And then as Big Ten fans who aren't fans of Indiana, I think we can be thankful that he didn't stick around there because they were going to be pretty good.
Yeah. He is. I would put him in that top 5 head coaching thing in college basketball.
Yeah, I think he's at the perfect level for him. I don't think he needs to go to a power 6.
Well, Houston's bumping up to the Big 12.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, which we'll be talking about next week. My gosh, yeah.
I was going to ask you what we were doing next week, Big 12.
Talking Big 12 football next week. We're going to do some research.
Bobby Petrino.
What did I see today? Jimbo Fisher called him a great guy. I'm like, I don't know about that. Maybe a great football mind, but I don't know about the guy part. Got in a motorcycle wreck with a cheerleader at Arkansas. That he also left the Atlanta Falcons after like a minute.
Yeah.
But he just kept getting jobs all over the place. Keeps getting jobs. I mean, yeah, just scummy guy.
Steve Sarkisian.
I don't remember what he did.
So he had a bad alcohol issue when he was at USC for like
that's
2 years, and he'd show up to meetings.
That's right.
But
I think he is on the hot seat at Texas this year. Texas should be really, really good before they go to the SEC. If they don't win the Big 12 this year, with as long as Quinn Ewers, who he needs to produce too, if he doesn't produce, if Texas wins 8 or so games, he might be looking for another job.
They don't mess around down there.
No.
Mike Leach.
Oh, man. Rest in peace, Mike Leach. One of the funniest coaches around, but definitely had some controversy at Texas Tech. But I was doing well at Mississippi State. Yeah. He did well wherever he went. His offenses were good. Washington State, too, after Texas Tech. I forgot about that. Washington State, then Mississippi State. Air raid offense, man. Air raid offense. Funny guy. Seemed like a really good guy. Fortunately, got in some of that controversy with the I can't think of the analyst. Craig, wasn't it Craig?
Yeah, played for SMU back in the day.
Yeah, that's whose son was it was the concussions and supposed to put him in the closet and all that stuff. But yeah, rest in peace to Michael Leach for sure.
Rick Pitino.
Scummy. Will be interesting to see what he does at St. John's.
Yeah.
But controversy follows that guy everywhere.
Yeah, St. John's I think is a good fit for him.
Oh, absolutely.
He's gonna do well there.
I was disappointed to see your boy Carbello didn't stay there.
My boy Carbello has some issues, and I don't know if
he
he'll
does.
play some college basketball again. Got kicked off the Puerto Rican national team for getting into fights with the head coach Carlos Arroyo, and
Carlos Arroyo's the head coach. Wow, that makes me feel old.
Yeah, I know it. Getting in fights with teammates and the trainer, and so he got kicked off, and they tried to give him every opportunity. So things aren't going well there for old Carbello. Hugh Freeze.
Auburn would hire him. They would be a program to hire him. Good football coach, but he's a big-time slime ball. It'd be interesting to see what he does now after he did some good work at Liberty. Now he can – I mean, you don't have to cheat anymore with NIL, but I was going to say he could cheat his tail off, but he doesn't really have to. But it'll be interesting.
He was kind of the equivalent of Rick Pitino there with what they were doing anyway behind the scenes. But
yes, Ole Miss, he had to go in, but he was breaking every rule in sight. So
last one here, I had to throw a baseball guy in here, AJ Hinch.
Yeah. Where's the trash can? I don't have one big enough to hit up here, but he got a job pretty quickly with the Tigers. Did all those guys get their jobs back except Beltran didn't? But
yeah, Beltran didn't, but Cora's back.
Yeah,
which I guess they didn't really get. Not as wide scale as the Astros did, but Jeff Lunau, their GM, didn't. Which honestly, it still annoys me that the players got off scot-free.
Sure.
And the management. Now, the management deserved to be fired too, but they needed to do something to the players.
I mean, the management knew what was going on, but the players are the ones who did it.
Yeah, they were the ones that did it. So
yep.
Yeah.
Good list, Jay, man. That's the word association segment, which is brought to you by Like It Is Every Week. Proforma Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting, Proforma Print 2 Promo Group has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response to all your print needs, so you need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815. And we, on our episode preview, it said we were going to talk about our Mount Rushmores of our favorite sports teams. We'll do that next week. We've tried to do it last week, ran out of time. This week, ran out of time.
Maybe we start with that next week.
We'll start with the next week, and then we'll talk baseball and also Big 12 football preview, which we've never done this. We're trying to do a different conference every week leading up to the start of college football season.
I'll actually learn about these teams because I know nothing, and now I'll have to do some research.
Yeah, you just reminded me that Houston's in the Big 12, so is UCF, BYU, and Cincinnati, on top of Oklahoma and Texas being in there for one more year.
One more year.
Yeah. Good stuff. Looking forward to some college football talk next week. Speaking of football, that was the topic of the Birdie or Bogey question night, which was, who are the only two current NFL quarterbacks who are in the top 10 of career passing touchdowns in college football history? 1 for a par, 2 for a birdie, 0 for a bogey.
I know Case Keenum's still around.
Yes, Case Keenum is on the Houston Texans for the third time in his NFL career.
Because he was with the Bills. I thought he was still with the Bills.
Yes, he's played for like 8 teams. I looked it up today. It's crazy. So you at least have a par. So we're at least still tied going into next week. You could take a 1-stroke lead here.
I've been going down each team of guys that I think have played a bunch of college football. You got to play a bunch of college football in order to.
You know, one name, this isn't it because he's not active in the NFL, but one name is Purdue's offensive coordinator, Graham Harrell, is on the list.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew. I remember him throwing a ton of touchdowns at Texas Tech. I'm thinking, man, Jameis threw a lot. Baker Mayfield.
You got a birdie, my friend.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Oh, man.
That's well done. That's well done.
Oh. I was between Jameis and Baker. Luckily, I chose the right one.
You chose correctly.
Thanks for watching the Tan and Jimmy Mix Show. We'll be back at it next Monday with another episode in our Big 12 preview. Have a fantastic week, everybody.